Vitamin 4. Ginkgo biloba, the natural brain booster. That backfires. My mother believed in keeping her mind sharp. She never missed her morning crossword puzzle and always took her memory supplements with breakfast. One of those was Ginkgo biloba. It was natural. It was trusted. It was even recommended by friends. But then one afternoon, she called me in a panic. Her speech was slurred and her nose wouldn't stop bleeding. We rushed to the ER. What we learned still makes my stomach turn. The supplement she had been taking to protect her brain was actually putting it at risk. Ginkgo biloba is widely advertised as a natural memory enhancer, but few people over 60 realize that it acts as a blood thinner, especially when combined with other medications like aspirin or warfarin. In my mother's case, she was taking both. That combination created the perfect storm for internal bleeding. Her body couldn't clot fast enough, especially in the delicate vessels of her brain. What made it worse is that we assumed it was safe. Ginkgo is sold everywhere. Health stores, pharmacies, even online in bulk. But what we didn't know is that many of these products are unregulated. The levels of active compounds vary wildly between brands. Some contain synthetic additives to boost potency. Others skip quality testing altogether. So, even if you think you're taking a standard dose, you might be getting twice as much or worse ingredients that your body can't process properly. There's real science behind the danger. A 2018 study published in Neurology found that seniors taking high-dose Ginkgo biloba had a 38% increased risk of hemorrhagic stroke. That's the kind of stroke caused by bleeding in the brain, the most severe and often the most fatal. And the symptoms can hit fast. Sudden confusion, slurred speech, severe headaches, or vision problems. In some cases, there are no warnings, just a collapse. Thankfully, we caught it early. The doctor stopped the supplement and adjusted her medications. Her speech returned. But the fear stayed. I couldn't believe something marketed for cognitive protection could have nearly taken her from us. I now tell everyone to be cautious, especially those over 60. If you're using Ginkgo biloba and also on blood thinners or anti-inflammatories like ibuprofen, speak with your doctor and check the label. Look for standardized extracts, 24% flavone glycosides and 6% terpene lactones, and avoid anything that doesn't list its potency. We learned our lesson the hard way. Just because a product is natural doesn't mean it's safe. And when it comes to brain health, safer alternatives exist like beets arugula or even mild exercise, which support blood flow without the risks. But nothing prepared us for what came next. A vitamin injected directly into her bloodstream, one that everyone said was essential, turned out to be the most dangerous of all. Vitamin 5, high-dose B12 injections. The brain fog imposter. At first, it was a miracle. My mother had been feeling tired for weeks, slow to move, forgetting names, even nodding off at the dinner table. Her doctor suggested B12 injections, and after just one shot, her energy returned. She laughed again, cooked, walked farther than usual. We thought we had found the answer. But then a few weeks later, things changed. She began slurring her words during casual conversations. Some days, she would forget where she put things. One morning, she stood frozen in the hallway, unable to remember which room was hers. We thought it was stress, maybe aging. maybe something deeper. But the truth was buried in those tiny red syringes we trusted. The culprit: high doses of synthetic vitamin B12, specifically cyanocobalamin. This form of B12 is common cheap and often used in injections. But what most people don't know is that when it enters the body, it breaks down into usable B12 and tiny amounts of cyanide byproducts. Normally, your body clears these toxins easily. But as you age, especially if your liver or kidneys are already under strain, that process slows down. The toxins accumulate, the blood thickens, oxygen delivery to the brain becomes less efficient, and cognitive symptoms begin to show up. A 2020 study published in the journal Stroke found that older adults with high B12 levels, especially those receiving regular cyanocobalamin injections, were up to 3.5 times more likely to experience an ischemic stroke. This kind of stroke isn't caused by bleeding, it's caused by a blockage. And thickened blood, worsened by poor detoxification of cyanide byproducts, creates the perfect condition for that blockage to occur. The warning signs are subtle. A little lightheadedness, a foggy feeling in the brain, tingling or numbness, then perhaps a tremor or an odd facial expression. Most people never connect these signs to the B12 injections, especially because we're told it's the brain vitamin. But the truth is that too much of the wrong kind, too often without proper monitoring, can backfire badly. Many seniors are still receiving B12 injections weekly without ever testing their homocysteine levels. Homocysteine is a key marker that, when elevated, indicates poor methylation and increased stroke risk. And cyanocobalamin, taken in excess, has been shown to raise homocysteine in some individuals, particularly when not balanced with folate or B6. If your loved one is receiving B12 shots, ask for a methylcobalamin version instead. It costs more, but doesn't release cyanide. Even better, have a blood test done to measure not just B12 levels, but also homocysteine and methylation markers. Your brain is worth that effort. We thought we were helping my mother regain her sharpness, but we were unknowingly feeding the fog, and nothing could prepare us for what came next. A vitamin found in nearly every multivitamin recommended as essential for aging brains, yet potentially the most dangerous of all. Vitamin 6, the multivitamin trap, the mix that misfires. I remember standing in front of my mother's bathroom cabinet counting the bottles. She had been declining for months, tired, dizzy, confused, bruising more easily than ever. We assumed it was aging, maybe her medications. But then I looked closely at the label on her multivitamin. It wasn't just vitamin E. It wasn't just B6 or retinol. It was all of them stacked together in one daily pill, taken faithfully every morning. The truth hit me hard. That single multivitamin contained 5 of the 6 harmful vitamins we had just learned about. Not in tiny doses either. Many were over 200% of the recommended daily intake, and that was just one product. Add in her fortified breakfast cereal, her eye supplement, the occasional energy drink, and suddenly the numbers skyrocketed. She wasn't just taking vitamins, she was unknowingly overdosing every single day. This is the trap no one warns seniors about. We're told to take our vitamins, that they'll fill nutritional gaps and keep us healthy as we age. But nobody talks about stacking. Nobody warns us that these seemingly innocent combinations can quietly push our bodies over the edge, thinning our blood-raising homocysteine, constricting vessels, and damaging delicate brain tissues. And worst of all, the signs are subtle. Fatigue, forgetfulness, bruising. None of it points clearly to vitamins until it's too late. The research is sobering. The ATBC study followed nearly 30,000 men and found that excessive vitamin use, especially synthetic forms in multivitamins, was linked to a significant increase in mortality. Another study, published in JAMA, confirmed that older adults taking high-dose multivitamins had a greater risk of stroke and cognitive decline. These aren't fringe theories. These are large-scale studies in peer-reviewed journals. The multivitamin industry doesn't mention this. They sell trust in a bottle, a promise of better aging. But for seniors, that promise can quietly turn into a threat, especially when no one is checking labels or calculating totals. When I brought the findings to my mother's doctor, they ran blood tests. Her homocysteine was elevated. Her vitamin E and B6 levels were far above normal. And just like that, we stopped everything. No more multivitamins. We shifted to food-based sources, low-dose targeted supplements only when needed, and regular testing to monitor what her body actually required. That choice changed everything. Within weeks, her dizziness lessened. Her memory started to return. Her color came back. And most importantly, we finally understood what had been happening all along. If you or someone you love is over 60 and taking a multivitamin, go check the label. Add up your sources. Talk to your doctor about what you actually need and what might be silently harming you. Because in the end, it wasn't age that made my mother weaker. It was trust in something we never questioned. And now that we know better, we do better. I used to think aging meant fading, that losing strength, focus, and vitality was just the cost of growing older. But standing beside my mother, watching her reclaim her health, one choice at a time, I've come to see things differently. Aging is not a slow surrender. It is a call to become more intentional, more aware, more resilient. Our bodies are still listening, even after 60. And sometimes, the things we thought were helping those little pills lined up in a weekly box are quietly pushing us in the wrong direction. But knowledge changes that. Just like the smallest crack in a dam can be sealed before the flood, the smallest change in your daily routine can redirect the entire course of your health. Maybe it starts with reading a label, asking your doctor one more question, choosing a handful of sunflower seeds over a synthetic pill, or maybe it begins right here with this conversation, with you. I want you to remember, this resilience doesn't fade with age. It grows. It just needs the right space to breathe again. So, if this video resonated with you, please let us know. Leave a comment below. Which vitamin surprised you the most? Which one are you reconsidering today? Hit like if it helped and subscribe so we can keep uncovering the truths that matter to you and your loved ones. And if there's someone in your life who could benefit from this, your mom, your grandfather, your neighbor, send it to them. Share the knowledge, share the care. Because in the end, this isn't just about vitamins. It's about waking up stronger tomorrow than we were yesterday. So I'll ask you now, will you keep trusting the label, or will you start trusting your body? Your next step is yours. I'll never forget that morning. My 73-year-old mother woke up and couldn't feel her right arm. She thought she had just slept on it the wrong way. But the truth was far more terrifying. Just a few hours later, the doctor confirmed it. She had suffered a mild stroke, possibly caused by a vitamin she had been taking every single day. I'm not a doctor. I'm just a daughter who nearly lost her mom to something we thought was keeping her healthy. That's why I started digging deeper. And today, I want to share with you 6 common vitamins that, if taken the wrong way, could silently raise your risk of stroke, especially if you're over 60. At first, I thought it was just part of getting older. A little fatigue, some dizziness now and then, maybe even the occasional leg cramp. My mom is 73 after all. I didn't think much of it. But then everything changed the morning she lost feeling in her right arm. What we assumed was just age catching up turned out to be something far more serious. That's when I began digging deeper, not just into her symptoms, but into what she was putting into her body every day. It turns out, some of the very vitamins we thought were helping might have actually put her at risk. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly what I discovered. Starting with the early warning signs, we missed the specific vitamins that may have quietly done harm, and the small changes we made that helped bring her health and confidence back. Vitamin 1, synthetic vitamin E, the misleading antioxidant. I remember the day my mom called me in a panic. She had a sudden nosebleed that wouldn't stop. At first, we thought it was the heat, or maybe she had scratched herself in her sleep. But it kept happening. Small bruises showed up on her arms, and she was getting lightheaded more often. It didn't make sense. She ate well, exercised gently, and had never smoked. She was even proud of the vitamins she took daily. One of them was vitamin E. She used to say it was good for the heart. We all believed that, until we didn't. When we finally sat down with her doctor and listed everything she was taking, he paused at the vitamin E. He asked what kind it was. We brought the bottle in. The label said DL-alpha tocopherol. He frowned. That's when I learned something I had never heard before. Not all vitamin E is the same, and the synthetic version she had been taking might have been thinning her blood to dangerous levels. Synthetic vitamin E, especially the form labeled DL-alpha tocopherol, doesn't work like the natural kind. It actually blocks the absorption of other beneficial types of vitamin E, like gamma tocopherol, which our brains and blood vessels really need. Instead of helping her heart and brain, it was throwing off the balance, quietly, subtly, until the bleeding began. The science was shocking. One study in the British Medical Journal showed that taking just 400 IU of synthetic vitamin E daily increased the risk of a hemorrhagic stroke by 22%. That's not a small number, and it's especially dangerous for older adults whose blood vessels are already more fragile. What scares me the most is how common this form is. It's in most over-the-counter multivitamins. Most people never read the fine print. They just see vitamin E and assume it's good. We did too, for years, until the signs appeared. And even then, we didn't know to connect them. The dizziness, the bruising, the fatigue. Looking back, it's all so clear. But in the moment, it just felt like aging. Her doctor had her stop the supplement immediately. He recommended getting vitamin E from food instead. Things like sunflower seeds, almonds, and spinach. These foods not only provide the natural form of vitamin E, but also include the full spectrum of nutrients that help it work safely in the body. I still think about how close we were to something far worse. My mom is doing better now, but I can't stop wondering how many other people are still taking synthetic vitamin E every day, thinking they're doing the right thing. This is why I'm sharing this. Not to scare you, but to help you ask better questions, to read labels, to talk with your doctor about every supplement you take, especially the ones you've trusted for years. And synthetic vitamin E is just the beginning. There's another vitamin sitting quietly in many people's cabinets that can shrink blood vessels in the brain if taken too often. Let's talk about that next. Vitamin 2. Retinol, the silent pressure builder. My mother used to get these strange pulsing headaches. They weren't severe enough to rush to the hospital, but they would come and go, leaving her dizzy, nauseous, and out of breath. I thought maybe it was just age catching up with her. We adjusted her pillow. We blamed her glasses. But nothing helped. One day, I glanced at her multivitamin bottle while organizing her medications and saw it had a surprisingly high amount of retinol palmitate. I didn't think much of it until I looked it up. That's when everything changed. Retinol, a synthetic form of vitamin A, is commonly added to supplements for vision, skin, or bone support. It sounds harmless, after all. It's just a vitamin, right? But what I didn't know is that retinol doesn't flush out easily like some other vitamins. It builds up quietly in the liver over time. And when levels get too high, it starts causing microvascular damage, particularly in the delicate capillaries inside the brain. That buildup can silently raise pressure inside the skull, thicken blood vessel walls, and restrict blood flow. It was shocking to learn that this synthetic form is still included in many multivitamins targeted at older adults, especially ones claiming to support eye or skin health. Even more surprising, it can be listed under names like retinol palmitate or retinol acetate, making it harder to spot unless you really know what you're looking for. That bottle my mom was taking. It had more than twice the recommended daily allowance. The real turning point came when I read a 2014 study published in the journal Stroke. Researchers found that older adults with high serum retinol levels had a significantly increased risk of ischemic stroke, the kind of stroke caused by narrowed or blocked arteries in the brain. And the worst part, this buildup can happen gradually without obvious signs until it's too late. Headaches, double vision, or mild nausea might seem like small symptoms, but in some people, they're early signs of increased intracranial pressure. Now, I started wondering how many seniors are unknowingly increasing their risk every day. Vitamin A from food sources like sweet potatoes or carrots isn't the problem. These plant-based versions come in the form of beta-carotene, which the body converts only as needed, but synthetic forms bypass that filter. Your body absorbs it whether you need it or not, and stores the excess in fat and liver tissue. With time, that overload turns toxic. My mother's dizziness, her blood pressure swings, they all started making sense. We immediately stopped the supplement. After a few weeks, her symptoms eased. Now, she gets her vitamin A from colorful vegetables, and her checkups have been more stable than ever. If you're taking supplements with retinol, especially without medical supervision, this might be the time to pause and reflect. Ask your doctor to check your levels. And if you notice warning signs like persistent headaches, blurred vision, or mood swings, don't dismiss them as aging. They might be your body's way of asking for help. What stunned me most was how something so routine, so seemingly helpful, could have such dangerous long-term effects. And yet, this wasn't even the most shocking supplement in my mother's cabinet. The next one was the one we trusted most, the one advertised as boosting memory and protecting brain function. But what I found out next changed everything. Vitamin 3, vitamin B6, the unexpected nerve hazard. It started with something small. My mother said her feet felt funny, like they were always falling asleep. At first, she thought it was just poor circulation, but then she began losing her balance when walking short distances. One day, she almost tripped down the stairs. That's when I knew something was wrong. After several doctor visits and tests, we found something we never expected. The issue wasn't her nerves failing from age. It was a vitamin, more specifically, vitamin B6. Vitamin B6 is commonly promoted as essential for energy, brain function, and nerve health. You'll find it in everything from multivitamins to energy drinks and protein shakes. But what no one tells you is that too much of it, especially above 100 milligrams a day, can actually damage the very systems it's meant to protect. In older adults, the risk is even greater. As we age, our ability to clear excess water, soluble vitamins like B6, declines. What used to flush out now lingers in the bloodstream, longer quietly building up and causing stress to the nerves and blood vessels. The worst part is how easy it is to overdose without even knowing. B6 isn't just in your supplements. It's added to fortified cereals, energy beverages, and so-called immune support powders. If you take a multivitamin, a protein drink, and eat cereal for breakfast, you might already be getting 200 to 300 milligrams a day, double or triple the safe limit. We had no idea my mom's daily combination of vitamins and snacks was putting her in danger. What was happening inside her body was subtle but serious. High doses of B6 can interfere with the protective sheath around your nerves. This can lead to neuropathy symptoms like tingling, burning numbness, and even loss of coordination. But there was something even more concerning: the connection to stroke. A 2017 study in the journal Clinical Nutrition revealed that long-term B6 supplementation was linked not just to nerve issues, but also to higher levels of homocysteine, a harmful amino acid that increases inflammation in blood vessels and raises the risk of stroke. I thought we were supporting her health, but in reality, we were slowly feeding the problem. She never suspected her supplements were the cause. After all, they were supposed to be safe, even recommended. And yet once we removed the excess B6 from her routine, the tingling faded. Her balance returned, and most importantly, her blood pressure and circulation improved. Now we make it a habit to check every label. I always recommend that anyone over 60 calculate their total B6 intake from all sources. If it's above 50 to 100 milligrams per day, it's time to reconsider. And one more thing: avoid time-release versions. They can silently accumulate in your system, triggering symptoms without any early warning signs. We were lucky to catch it when we did, but it left me wondering how many seniors are out there right now feeling numbness in their legs or forgetting why they stood up, all because of a vitamin they thought was helping. And just when I thought I had seen the worst, we came across a supplement that even doctors routinely recommend, one that could silently make your blood too thick to flow. That's coming next.